When you hear the word apocalypse, what do you picture? Zombies, right? Giant explosions? People fighting over the last can of beans? Well, get ready, because we're about to dive into a story that takes all those ideas and just flips them completely. Today, we're talking about Emily St. John Mandel's amazing novel, Station 11, and how it totally reimagines what the end of the world could look like. So our story kicks off on this snowy night in Toronto. A famous actor, Arthur Leander, is on stage performing King Lear, and he collapses and dies. A real tragedy for sure. But that personal loss, it's just the opening act for a global one. Because within hours, a pandemic called the Georgia flu starts its silent, deadly march across the entire planet. You know, most post-apocalyptic stories are all about one thing, just staying alive, that brutal day-to-day grind. But Station 11 asks a way more interesting question. Okay, you found food, you found shelter. Now what? What are you actually living for?
And that question, that's the absolute heart of this book. Station 11 makes this incredible argument that the end of the world isn't just a story about everything we lose. It's a story about what we decide to save, what things actually last when everything else is gone. It's a deep, deep look at what it even means to be human.
This right here really shows you how different this book is. On one hand, you have your traditional apocalypse story. Think big, divine plan, a violent reset button for the world, where only the chosen few get to build a new paradise. Station 11 says, nah, there's no grand purpose here. It's just, as one character calls it, a choreography of luck. It's not about some big finale, but about the small, quiet, human job of trying to hold on to the best parts of who we were. So how does it all go down? And, more importantly, what comes next? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the collapse and the new world that's born from it. The thing that causes it all is the Georgia flu, and it is terrifyingly fast and unbelievably deadly. It doesn't just damage civilization, it practically erases it. In just a few weeks, 99% of everyone on Earth is gone. The world we know just stops. And the loss is so much deeper than just, no more internet or electricity. It's what experts call a structural trauma. It completely shatters the survivor's sense of reality. They're caught between a before and an after where memories of things like smartphones or airplanes feel like something out of a fantasy novel. I mean, can you imagine trying to explain Wi-Fi to someone who has never even seen a computer? That's the world they live in. All right, so let's jump forward 15 years. In the area around the Great Lakes, we meet this group called the Traveling Symphony. And they're not soldiers or politicians. They're actors and musicians, and they travel from one little town to the next, performing Shakespeare and Beethoven for whoever is left. And this quote, painted right on their main caravan, is their whole reason for being. It's actually a line from an old Star Trek Voyager episode, which is pretty cool. Survival is insufficient. That says it all, right? For them, just being alive isn't enough. They believe that art, that human need to create and experience beauty, that's what actually makes life worth living. And this leads us to one of the most powerful themes in the whole novel, the idea that art can endure, even when all of our amazing technology is just a pile of rust. For the Traveling Symphony, art isn't just some nice hobby, it's a vital, essential service. Performing Shakespeare connects these isolated little towns. It keeps a shared history alive. It reminds people that beauty is still possible in a broken world. And maybe most importantly, it gives them a way to work through the trauma they've all been through together. Like one character says, people want what was best about the world. But, and this is crucial, the book makes it very clear that stories can be weapons too. They can be twisted and used to control people, to justify horrible things. And that's where we meet the bad guy. Say hello to the prophet. He's the leader of this really dangerous cult. His story is that the Georgia flu wasn't random, it was a holy cleansing from God. And the survivors? Well, they're the pure, the chosen ones. He builds his whole twisted religion with, as the book puts it, charisma, violence, and a bunch of cherry-picked verses from the book of Revelation. His story isn't about hope, it's about power and control. Kirsten, one of the main actors in the symphony, she sees exactly how terrifying this logic is. The moment you decide that you are the light and anyone who disagrees with you is the darkness, well, then you can convince yourself that any terrible thing you do is for a good reason. The prophet's whole shtick is built on twisting history, and that brings us to another huge theme in this book. In a world without Google, without libraries,
Memory is the only archive we have left, and it is incredibly fragile. This line just perfectly captures the impossible situation for the people who remember the before times. Thinking about simple things, flipping a light switch, peeling an orange, it's not just a nice memory. It's a constant, painful reminder of everything and everyone that's gone. So what about the kids who were born after the collapse? Well, there's this fascinating idea called post-memory. It's about how this younger generation connects to the lost world. They didn't experience it themselves, but they inherit the feeling of it, the loss, the trauma, the beauty, through the stories and the art that's passed down to them. Kind of like how we might feel a connection to a huge historical event we never lived through, just from hearing the stories about it.
And the novel shows us these fragile connections in such a brilliant way, all through one simple, ordinary object, a glass paperweight with a little storm cloud trapped inside. This thing becomes this powerful symbol linking all these different characters across time and space, usually in ways they don't even know.
Okay, so check this out. The paperweight goes from Clark to Miranda. Miranda gives it to her ex-husband, Arthur, the actor who dies at the beginning. Then on that same night, Arthur gives it to a little girl, a child actor named Kirsten. Fast forward 20 years, and Kirsten, now a tough member of the traveling symphony, still carries this little piece of glass. She has no idea about the invisible web connecting her back to all these people. It's a beautiful reminder that we're all connected in ways we might never, ever see.
So, why does this story stick with people so much? I think it's because it offers this powerful and honestly hopeful way of thinking about how we find meaning after something awful happens. Ultimately, what the book is saying is that rebuilding humanity isn't about getting the power back on or rebooting the internet. It's about rebuilding the stuff that really matters: our relationships, our shared stories, our art, our memories. That's the foundation of civilization. And despite all the darkness and loss in this book, the final message is one of hope. This quote says it all. The world is in ruins, yes, they've lost almost everything, but beauty is still there, in a line from a play, in a piece of music, in the simple act of people coming together to watch a performance under the stars. And that brings us to the final question, the one the book leaves us with. In a world where almost everything is gone, what would you save? Beyond just survival, what parts of our world, what art, what ideas, what memories would you fight to carry forward?